Hello, everybody. How you doing? Um, this is my buddy Ozer, local shops. The owner's son. He's actually a really good friend, family, I would even say, and he's willing to play a little live music for us tonight. So I figured, why not? And yeah, Jangles is gonna join us for a little bit too. Um, Jangles has went through a lot lately, and I want. He said he reached out and said he wouldn't mind coming on. So I figured, this would be a good one. He can come on, say what he wants to say, and he's a pretty positive person. So uh, when he gets here, I'll just let him in. Azur, so you want to talk about like your music? Like, where did you start playing, and when did you start playing and such?
Oh, okay. Um, so I guess I always kind of liked music just in general. My family, we used to go on long car rides. So even after we moved up here from New York, we'd still go back down there a lot. So I got a chance to listen to a lot of good music that my father liked. And then when I was 10, he fished out this old piano that.
Hi, Mom.
Mom, give me a second, please. Okay. अच्छा mama, जाए please. So that's funny.
His mom's
So
one of the best cooks you've ever met, too. By the way,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, thank you. But so I got a chance to listen to a lot of good music my father liked. And then when I was 10, they fished out this old piano. It was like I think we still have it. My little brother uses it now. And then I started playing with that a little bit, and then so on and so forth. And then I like really wanted to play the guitar for some weird reason, and my parents were super supportive of that too. And then they got me my first acoustic guitar, which is actually sitting on my ex's house, which is funny. So I still have to go get that. But other than that, I don't know. It's just kind of fun. So I like doing it. Nothing really more to it. So
Yeah. That said, if you want to play us a little bit of music here to get started, while we wait, and we'll see. And I'll let Jingles in whenever you're ready. Jingles, just go ahead and click on the link, and I'll let you in. And just go ahead and play us a little music.
alrighty. So I'm kind of whiny. So I like Oasis, and my older brother showed me this song by Oasis. It's called "Stand by Me," and pretty good song. I like the song. It's in my range. Notice the what are these called? I'm drawing a blank. Quotations. So all right. Put the pick down because that's a little too loud. But all right, I'll get started here. Made a meal. I didn't turn on my mic.
Dangle clack number one.
Yeah. Okay, let me start that again.
No
I'm sorry.
worries. No worries. You're fine.
This is funny. Made a meal, threw it out for Sunday night. Got a lot of things to learn. Said I would not believe it one day before my heart starts to burn. What's the matter with you? Sing me something. Don't you know the cold air and don't know me seems to come and go. Times are hard, things you've got no meaning. Trying to keep things low. Maybe you and I will What's the matter with you? Sing me something. Don't you mind the cold down and it only seems to come and go away. Stand by. Nobody knows what it's gonna be. Stand by. Nobody knows what it's gonna be. Stand by. Nobody knows what it's gonna be. Stand by. If you leave it, will you take me? I'm tired of talking on the phone. There is one thing I can never do. I will never be alone. What's the matter with you? Say something. Don't you know the calling? The only seem to come and go away. Stand by. Nobody knows where it's gonna be. Stand by. Nobody knows where it's gonna be. Stand by. Nobody get nobody. The way it's gonna be, baby, I can see. Don't you know I'm calling out? You only see the come and go. Stand by. Nobody knows the way it's gonna be. Stand by. Nobody knows the way it's gonna be. Stand by. Nobody yet nobody knows the way it's gonna be. Thank you.
I don't want to make it too loud for him, but yeah, good job. That was good. That was very good.
Thank you.
And this is Jangles.
Hello, Mr. Jingles.
Told him he mentioned the other day he wouldn't mind coming on at some point, and I have a feeling he might have a few things to say to some people in the community here. I know maybe, yeah.
Gotta run these noisy dogs out of here first.
No worries.
He got a new frisbee. He's happy.
No, that's awesome. So how are you doing tonight, Jangles?
I'm actually doing pretty good today.
Are you?
Plugging along one day at a time, you know. trying to. God, hold on a second.
No worries.
Psycho, go on. You crazy dog. Abby, out. Nope, you too. You go with her.
So Ozzy, you like this new guitar?
I love this guitar. Absolutely in love with it. So the all white maple neck. So perfect. I love it.
Telecaster or Telecaster? Or neither
Oh,
one?
it's a Strat. It's a Strat, actually.
Gotcha.
Yep.
See, I'm a drummer. I'm surprised that I knew that.
She got you. Tag, you're it.
Hey.
Left his frisbees in here. That's me.
He's a sidekick.
Well, you left him in here where he don't have no toys playing.
Just. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
No worries.
He's wide open. He stays about 3 feet off the ground. If he's not 3 feet off the ground, he's not happy. And he ate his other frisbee, so he had to get him a new one.
So everybody enjoy Ozer's song?
Yeah, that was cool. I think I caught the majority of it.
Yeah, I know. Transitioning in right at the middle of the song, it kind of you missed a little that way.
Oh, it's all
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it was good though. Better than I could do.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, the singing thing. This is my first experience hearing you sing while you're playing at the same time. So that was interesting.
Yeah,
I heard you sing some more jokingly at the shop, and then I've heard you play a few times on online, but I've never actually seen you do both. So this is actually kind of a treat for me as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
But so Jangles, how has things been going? You guys getting along okay?
Yeah, I mean, I'm slowly getting better. I don't think I'll ever get better completely because that was my other half. I mean, she was in my rock.
There's a hole, the hole there that doesn't quite heal fully. It just doesn't. I know that feeling.
And plus, I mean, March will only be 7 years since we lost our son to suicide, unfortunately, and that still hurts a lot.
Yeah. Speaking of, that's a good time to plug it. The Winter Doldrums, 28th. Get your tickets. All the proceeds go to suicide prevention. So, it's $5 for a ticket. You can donate more, but it's actually for a very good cause, and you get some live music for an entire day. So, I mean, if you guys need the thing, just replay the video. It's back in the beginning. If not, we can I'll put the link in the description because I don't have John here tonight to put the links in like he usually does. Actually, Addy will probably throw it in there. He has it.
Yeah, I can't see chat. I don't know who was in there, but
he had quite a few people say hi.
Hello.
Man, I don't have John. He usually does this. That's the downside of when your co-host isn't feeling well.
I can test it in my television, but I don't want to be,
Nah, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I'll actually give a quick shout out. We have Big G in the house. Got Jangles, obviously.
I was there a minute ago.
Duchess Coils is in the house. Let's see. We got me, Lady Liberty. Lando's in the house. Let's see. Addy Tooney's in the house.
Of course.
Addy, I love him so much.
Yep.
And I think that might be all that's actually talked in chat, at least. I mean, we have a few extras, it looks like, here, but it's okay. You guys can be stalkers. We don't mind. We're okay with lurkers, especially when there's live music involved. You get people that listen. Not everybody's a part of the vape community that watches, and that's fine. It's more, this is mental health related. It just happens to be vape adjacent because a lot of the family, it's because of the caringness. And Jangles, you can attest to this, the caring and loving nature of the community.
Man. That's one thing I never could make my wife understand is how giving and supportive the vaping community is, and she would get so mad. You spend all your time with those vaping people, and I'm like, no, there's so many of them that it takes a lot of time to respond to messages and talk with the ones that you talk to the most. You know what I'm saying. I know you. Yep. You're there.
Ozer's a part of this too. I mean, that's part of his dad's philosophy with the shop, is run it like a family. And to be honest with you, that's what really got me connected to the community. It was because it is like a family there. When I don't see people from there for a while, I worry about them and I care about them and I miss them. Wasn't that long ago I stopped in just so I could say hi to you, remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really appreciated that. It means a lot to me and everything. And so, yeah, it's a lot of people, I feel like, call the vape shop, call it kind of like a home, because it seems to be a safe space for a lot of people.
Especially if you got a vape lounge, a place for people to hang out, not just a shop,
Yeah,
exactly.
This is set up like a lounge, and you have the bar as well. That's what we always did, is just hang out and spend some time, help people if they come in, because technically the shop employees can't technically help with a new build or anything, but the people that are around can. So we managed to always make sure someone's covered. That's how I got my first help, and then I paid it forward, and we've done the same thing.
No, when they imposed the first regulations, I set up right outside my local shop. Anybody that needed help, I was sitting there.
Nice.
And although, like I said, as people that are watching don't understand, this is just a harm reduction situation versus something we know will inevitably most likely kill you if you continue smoking. That's just
most definitely. The whole, the bans and such are giving vaping part of a bad name or a bad rep, but that Avali with the bad THC cards, that was like a.
You can't even blame THC cards because it was illegal.
I said,
market,
illicit or illegal. Yes,
illicit, illegal, and improperly manufactured. There's a reason why they were dangerous. It's like,
vitamin E acetate does not dissipate. That will eventually plug you up.
Yeah, that's it. It coats the inside of your lungs with an oil because it's an oil. Regular e-liquid does not have the oil, which is where it looks the same to someone who doesn't vape or smoke, so they don't understand. So that's something that trying to get out there, and it is important to mention. And I know Ozzer understands this too as well, because of working at the shop for so long and having his family so closely integrated. That's part of the reasons why your father decided to go with that, because it was a harm reduction thing, and he was all about it.
Yes, sir.
Cares about people.
Yeah, no, because it was the idea kind of started because Nick. Yeah. Nick was like a pretty habitual smoker. Like, he'd smoke a lot, and then he started vaping, and told my father about it. And he was like, "Man, I can breathe again. I can smell. I can taste again." And my father was like, "This seems to be a really good thing, like, for people, especially because nicotine already is hard to get off of. It's really hard to get off of. But if you can reduce the harm that's being done to the body through something else, then by all means, then it should be done." And so that's where Whirling Vapors was born, really. So.
Yeah, I've been on dialysis for right at 17 years. So I've got, chronic health issues anyway.
I'm sorry.
And don't be sorry. It is what it is. It beats the alternative.
Mm-hmm.
If there was no dialysis, I would not be talking to you guys at all. But because I don't qualify for a transplant, so that's another story. But with me personally, I'd smoked for 27 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I dual used for probably a year, close to it.
Mm-hmm.
And once I completely quit smoking, I could tell a difference within days. And it made a world of difference.
Absolutely. It's good to hear. Really good to hear.
Almost 8 years. She's all right. But, yeah, I can tell a big difference.
If you see a piece like this,
okay.
Yes, this one, please.
Okay. But, yeah, I know it works. And if others would try it, at least listen to somebody open-mindedly and instead of just hearing what they hear and believing what they hear in the news. It would make our case, for vaping a whole lot easier.
Yes,
That's
sir.
it. The stories help. Well, Ozra was there the day we came back from when we went to New Hampshire to hearing and came back after I talked and remember scared the crap out of me because I actually talked at the hearing. Um,
Yeah.
but I got through to them and got them to stop it. For a little while there, they stopped it and were reevaluating everything until the new bans came through federally. And that was because of the fact that you got them to listen to stories and explain to them. I talked to the guy that was trying to lead it against us in the hallway for a while because I was sitting out there with spaghetti legs after talking, to be honest with you. That's why I was out there. And
Yeah.
he almost walked by me, and it was telling the stories and explaining what it does to people and how it helps. That's more important than any reciting any like data you might be able to research. And he
Yeah.
point blank told me that day that the data didn't mean anything because they don't know who to believe. It's data for one or the other. They don't have the time to research every single thing that comes out to make sure which one's true. So as much as we want them to, they don't really have the time or even have the care to do so. But your story and how much it's changed your life, that matters more to them. That'll actually bring them to listen better. So make sure you spread those stories out there.
Absolutely.
Like you just said, you felt better when you
Within
switched.
days,
Yeah.
within days, it wasn't weeks or months. It was days.
Mm.
And even if I couldn't vape, which I don't think I would have a problem, getting things I need. But if I couldn't, there's no way I would go back to smoking personally. I know many would, because they couldn't resist, newer vapors or whatever. But there's no way I could support big tobacco in any way, shape, or form.
Mm.
So I take it that was your daughter hopped in and out of screen a couple times.
Yeah,
So how's she doing taking care of Dad? You know that's what's
she's
happening.
doing great. She's doing a great job. She is a big help.
I know
A big help.
my daughter was my rock when everything went down with me. So I imagine that's similar.
Yeah, I told everybody my wife was my rock. She was my pebble. But she's grown into rock status now. And she's always been a big helper though, even before my wife passed. Um, she's
I
just
think I want to take this opportunity from. I know that chat's already kind of pushing toward it a little bit, but we want to thank you for being around and being a part of the community because we care about you. Your family.
I appreciate that. I feel the same about everybody else.
Yep. And Ozzer, thank you for being on tonight and playing some music, and that was awesome.
Thank you so much. I also I don't want to be that guy, but
But yeah, I know
I
you
have
you got some stuff to do. Yeah.
yeah, I have some chores to do, but I'd like to just thank you for having me on, and I want to extend my condolences to Mr. Jangles and his whole family and everything, and I hope that everything gets better.
Tell your mom and dad I said hi.
Will do.
So yeah, it was great having you on.
Thank you
You
so
said
much.
you didn't have a lot of time tonight. That's why you did it early and didn't wind up late a little later. But
Yeah.
it was good to have some live music. Maybe we'll have you on again another night or something if you
I,
have
I
some
would
time,
love to.
'cause-
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Take care, buddy.
Thank you. I'll
later,
see you guys later.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
That was just two. And John isn't here tonight, but he wasn't feeling well earlier, so I think he might have just fell asleep. It's possible if he wasn't feeling well. I mean, it happens.
I can
He
understand
did
that.
mention earlier. I told him he didn't have to be here. It's okay, not to worry about it. And then he's like, "I'll manage to get through it." And then he might have actually fell asleep. What
Yeah,
happens when you're not feeling well.
I think I can co-pilot quite well.
Yeah, it's good to see you on, Jingles. Thank you so much for being a part of the community.
Appreciate you having me.
Sorry what you went through. I'm sure everybody feels the same, and I know as well as you do. Ozer's coming. Oh, I think he accidentally was coming back. But I think I speak for most of the community to say that, we care about you. And I also completely understand what it's like to be on the other side and to know that although that feels good that people care, it's kind of like you have to muddle your way through. it's tough.
Yeah, you're right. I have my good moments, and then I'm just all to pieces and don't know what to do with myself or the situation or anything really as far as that goes. Just
And
take
don't
it one
you
day at a time.
don't forget we're always here for you if you need us.
And I appreciate that more than you know.
There's going to be those moments where you might need to talk to somebody, just to have someone to talk to. It doesn't mean that you have to talk even about what you're thinking. Sometimes it's better not to.
And that's
Some
that's another thing. I've always been the one offering to help, to talk or listen or whatever, and now the shoe's on the other foot. And it just doesn't seem real in a way.
I'll be honest, there's some days where things don't feel real, and that's been a long time for me. And it's still, you're going to feel it. It's never going to completely go away. There's going to be mornings you wake up and it's fresh. And it's just something you got to learn to cope with. I won't say deal with because you can't deal with it. It's not a deal with the situation. You learn to cope and understand that you can get through it. But there's always that moment where you're like, I kind of just want to give in. Just don't let yourself give in, and you keep moving forward. And having your child, your daughter there is a big step in the right direction.
Yeah. She's definitely, I don't know how to explain it. I mean, she's my everything now. And my wife was my everything. She was, my daughter was my world. And now, I got to give all my attention to her and make sure that she makes it in the direction that she wants to go in, and I want her to go.
As one of the important reasons why I was good with you coming on is that it puts out the awareness of the fact that this whole thing, don't pawn it off like it's not real. I mean, if anybody can attest to that, you can attest to it firsthand.
And I didn't take it lightly when everything started with COVID. I did not take it lightly whatsoever, and I still believe they're fudging a lot of numbers, but
I do.
When it hits this close to home and as hard as it did, you look at it entirely differently. I want to let my daughter get out of the car now without putting a mask on. And, being in South Carolina, they're not too, especially the little town we're in, nobody hardly wears a mask. And it kind of pisses me off now.
We're having a rash of it right here, right now. And my daughter's grandmother on her mother's side is hospitalized right now. And she wasn't exactly healthy before. She had issues. So we're kind of going through a little bit of that right now. So
I joined one of the support groups on Facebook for COVID survivors and family losses or whatever, however it's worded. And the amount of people, their stories are identical to what's up on my feed, and it just tears me out of my frame sometimes.
But at the same time, it makes you not feel alone and like this is just something that just happened to just you. It's not really a comfort, but it does help you to put it in perspective.
It does. It's just story after story after story. It's exactly the same. And then there's a lot of success stories and, people coming off of ventilators or getting out of the hospital or, it's just, but there's more that's not getting better than are.
Yeah, look at Jenny Sin when she went through hers. I mean, it was rough, really scary for a while, and it's still, she's not 100% yet over dealing with it. And that is common, actually. Didn't even realize how much until I did this show a little while back there about the after effects that can affect your mental health as well. If you've had it, it can make your brain kind of almost feel like it's in a fog. And that's common with it. And it might never go away, or if it does go away, it'll take a long time. They don't know yet because they have.
Yeah, I've read a lot of stories about people have, brain fog and COVID fog or however they word it. They're in a fog, and people have been over it for months and still suffer from it. And I'm sure there's a lot of post-traumatic, things that happen to you.
And then on top of it, you have this extreme anxiety and depression issue with the whole lockdowns and everything going on, and this fear of the virus in the first place. Then you add to it brain fog if you've had it. It's like, that's a lot to put on someone, and that's why I think that like I said, the Doldrums suicide awareness, and this also from a personal spot, that how dangerous that can be and how important it is that we reach out and make sure that there's actual help for them when they need it, when they get to that point. And that's where I think that the Doldrums are really stepping it up, and I think it's a great idea to have every year.
I will say that music has helped. Even the songs that make me cry, because it's bringing up the good memories. There's some songs that bring up bad memories, but my wife and I went to tons of concerts in our time together. Matter of fact, we saw the Eagles 2 days before we got married, which was like the highlight of I don't know.
Not to give away your age, but which stage of the Eagles was this? Because they went through a lot of different stages with different,
I'm 48 here. I'm proud of it. I'm glad to be 48. It was in 96. So it was Hell Freezes Over still. Because that tour went on forever, I think. But yep. I did get to see Randy Meisner before they kicked him out again.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was wondering, because they did do a little bit of changing up. The band didn't stay the same the whole time through. But
I did. Matter of fact, I think it was right before they booted him.
Yeah, music does help a lot. And one of the songs is Silver Spoon. It hits me from my father. My father passed away from suicide. My son, and it kind of hits me, all of them. It's like the things I missed with my dad and the things I missed with my son. So I kind of got the two ends hitting together, and that song does it for me. And I have to listen to it every now and then to get that cry out. I have to, even if it doesn't come out as an actual tears, it'll be inside sometimes. But if I get that out of me every once in a while, it's almost like a cleansing kind of thing. It doesn't get rid of it, but it sheds a layer. Yeah, is the best way I can explain it.
So like a breath of fresh air in a sense.
Afterwards, yeah. During it, not so much.
No.
But you feel that your heart like just kind of warms up and then melts away afterwards.
My dad passed away in 2010 of a very unexpected massive heart attack. And his favorite group was the Oak Ridge Boys. Matter of fact, that was the first concert I ever went to as a kid, because he drugged me along and made me go. And I had to listen to all that, country music that I couldn't stand, that I love to listen to now. But any Oak Ridge Boys that comes on, any song, it don't matter if it's an upbeat, happy song or I'm leaving you kind of song or whatever, it tugs on my heartstrings.
And Addie did ask how's your daughter dealing with all this? How's she doing with it?
Surprisingly better than me.
She's holding it together for you, isn't she?
Yes and no. I mean, she's never been one to really show emotion. I mean, she's cried a couple of times since my wife went in the hospital. But I'm afraid that when it does hit her and she does break down, that it's going to be bad.
The community is here for her as well. You know that. If she needs it.
To talk, but I know, and she knows, but she won't.
I'm not saying that she's going to reach, because you got to. It's up to them. But I mean, just to say. Know. Yep.
Yeah, but she's doing surprisingly well.
Sheryl Crow opened on that tour before most knew who she was, is what Addie was saying for the Eagles. Sheryl Crow was good.
There was nobody but the Eagles when we saw. Well, there was a band, but it was like a local band that played till the Eagles decided it was time for them to come on, because we did have to wait But I mean, this was back when you could still camp on the sidewalk for box offices or ticket offices to get the best tickets, before, using the internet to order tickets. And
we had
we were the second person in line, or second people in line. We camped on the sidewalk, and we ended up getting 12th row, which I thought was pretty good for a stadium.
That's real good, actually, for a stadium, especially back then.
Yeah, because a lot of the closer rows went to radio stations, for giveaways or whatever. And
yeah, even more so back then because they needed a couple rows for all the equipment.
Yeah.
Equipment now they use, they have these little, many cases you'll see these little tiny camera setups and microphone setups, and they work as good as some of those old big blocks they used to take up like half a row.
When I saw Pink Floyd, it was pretty amazing because I was sitting in the upper deck. It was the same stadium, actually. The Clemson Tigers in Clemson, South Carolina. I was in the upper deck, which I thought I got bad seats until the show started, and then you could see everything. But the middle of the field, they had this almost a computer room set up, and all you could see was monitors to control the light, the different lightings, the lasers, everything. And it was just, some of the newer concerts, or most recent concerts we'd seen, the small cameras like you mentioned, and, everything's controlled with one laptop instead of, 6, 7, 8 ginormous computers.
With multiple people running them, yeah. It was kind of, everything had its own little controller and people controlling them and trying to sync them together because they weren't synced automatically. Like now you can just start a program and sync everything together. We didn't have Alexa back then. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
But and Elton John and Billy Joel is the same way, with everything. I mean, they didn't have near the light show Pink Floyd did. And they still had a bank of computers, controlling everything. And I don't know what that was because, anyway, it's amazing how far technology's come. It really is. Yep. I mean,
I watched in the 90s, early to mid 90s. I watched Aerosmith twice, and we had Billy Idol come play at our local fair field day. That was about the extent of my concert, like other than like local music, for my concert life when I was younger. And then as I got older, the only thing I've actually went to see live was Brantley Gilbert.
That's pretty cool. I didn't go.
And Aaron Lewis was there, and that actually was my favorite part of the show. Aaron Lewis did Country Boy, so yeah.
He's actually a really good country singer.
He
Just
is
like Darius Rucker. Darius Rucker switched over to country, and he's did really well. Matter of fact,
Aaron Lewis was country first, and then when he was on American Idol, he actually got signed. They offered him a few hardcore gigs, and then he wound up.
Aaron Lewis was on American Idol.
Yeah, that's how he started. He got offered a few jobs. He got offered a few jobs at first, and then switched over. But he was country first.
Okay.
And then, but he went back to country after he did his stint with. Yeah. Well, he did. He was. I mean, I'm not gonna deny it. I really liked the band. So, I mean, either way. But on his own, I think his creativity level went way up. So.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense too. But that country, that just. But Darius Rucker, I saw Hootie and the Blowfish right when his first country song was out, and they played it, and I thought, this is pretty cool. That I got to see. It was cool that I got to see Hootie and the Blowfish because I'd never seen them before. And then that, he done his one song he had out in the country genre. So, yeah. But I saw Tom Petty twice in a week's time.
Yeah, it's unfortunately someone we lost in the past year or two. It was kind of a shocker as well.
It was, and I don't, and I know it wasn't intentional. I don't think it was a druggie or anything. It's just the man was hurting, and he overdid it. Plain and simple.
Yep. Another one that went country surprisingly for quite a few songs, and at first was Kid Rock. Did not see that one coming, to be honest with you. That one surprised me when that first came
That
out.
was the last
Picture.
concert my wife went to, was Kid Rock and Hank Williams Jr. and somebody else. I don't remember.
See, all these different types of music genres. You just added like 6 or 7 different genres of music the way with just the artists that have been mentioned. So that
I
tells
love
you how
music.
diverse it can be.
You could roll up on me and I might be listening to Southern Gospel, and you come back the next day and it'll be Slipknot. I'm not, if I like, I've always said if a song makes you feel some kind of way, then it's good music. It don't matter, what genre or the artist or what. I mean, I don't like the newer hip hop stuff. It doesn't make sense to me. Even if I could understand it, it wouldn't make sense to me. But, I like older, 80s and 90s hip hop rap. I like that. But
M Turk was talking about it a couple times on stream. Some of the stuff like the UK hip hop is more like the old school. It tells a story. It's not just a bunch of noise. And he was talking about that on a stream a while back. It's quite a while ago now, a few months ago, but it was interesting to hear him go through that because he's right. Yeah, I mean, it's most of it now. It used to tell a story. That was a fun part about listening to hip hop. It always told a story.
Yeah. But now, they want to talk about how much money they got, how many cars, how many hoes they got. Nobody cares about that.
Well, they did that in the 90s too, but just not as much.
Not just solely a whole song about nothing but money and hoes.
Night, Tyler.
But not it. But you did get more storytelling. From start to finish, it told a story. Most songs do. But
Tyler the Vapor said goodnight, but he's also said keep strong, brother. To you.
I will. I'm trying. You guys are helping, really. I really do appreciate you having me on, because it means a lot, and it helps. Because I can talk about other things other than looking at my walls and talking to the dogs that don't answer me back.
And if they do, then you gotta worry more.
They start talking, I'm going right out the door.
They start talking, it might be time to go get some meds.
Yeah.
Find out Secret Life of Pets 2 was real.
I've never watched either one of those, but
we watched the first one. We never watched the second one, but it's something.
Yeah, I like you were talking about the other day, feel good movies. That's Danica wants to watch comedies all the time, and which is fine. I don't mind as long as it's not one of that she's seen, 17 times already, and that made me watch just as many. But that's what she wants to do. And anytime I find something I think she hadn't watched, oh, that's good. I'm like, is there anything on here you haven't seen? Just go through here and find something you haven't seen, and then we'll give it a shot. But I like feel-good movies. Yep, I really do.
Feel-good movies. Sometimes an action movie can be feel-good too, because it just kind of like, I don't know, lets out that it's got to be get that rage that's in there. There's rage in there from it down. It might not be prevalent on the surface, but there's a little in there because you're hurt. I mean, it's just natural. Yeah. And once in a while, it helps to watch like an action movie. There's feel-good action movies, and there's the anger action movies. If you find yourself swaying toward the anger ones, you might want to take a self-evaluation, make sure you're okay. If you just, is that question?
I don't think I've got that problem, because I actually, God, I don't believe I'm going to say this to everybody, but I actually watched by myself The Notebook again. And I'm not going to say how many times, because I really lost count. But I absolutely love stories like that.
Yep. Nothing wrong with that. Yep. Notebook was a very popular movie for a good reason. It has there's a definite feels to that movie.
Yeah, and I like I like historical type movies, even if it's not about history. Something that goes back to pioneer days or 30s, 40s, 50s. No, I like it. Because I think it was a simpler time then. I know it was a simpler time then.
Well,
And
compared to right now, night and day. This is we're living in a time that was foreseen, so to speak. Especially if you watch like any of the Japanese anime, this almost looks identical to some of the anime theories
just watch The
in the future.
Simpsons.
Like the
They
wearing the
predicted
mask,
everything.
everybody just being drones and having this social distance. All of this was predicted in that, and it's kind of scary. It became true because it was always considered a sci-fi type situation,
Yeah,
not real. And
yeah.
reality has hit, and that's what makes it more scary.
The Simpsons even predicted everything. I mean, really, it's kind of eerie. You know, you go back and see some of those older Simpsons episodes, and like that happened way after this this came out. So, I mean, does somebody know something we don't know? I mean,
Or they had good insight and they kind of saw it coming. And
yeah,
either way, yeah, it's a. I mean, it was probably inevitable at some point in the day and age. There was going to be some kind of virus or flu or bacteria or something that's going to spread. That's why there's so many movies, especially 80s, 90s. You had all kinds of movies on this fear. Remember Cabin Fever or whatever? I think it's Cabin Fever was
having
one of those.
having
And
fever. Yeah, I remember that movie, and I don't know if I saw it, but I don't. Yeah,
but it had a lot of movies about that genre, and it's eventually you think about it as even older things coming back again. It's possible because we're going to lose the immunities over time to things that we used to be immune to because it was everywhere, and we don't have it anymore. And that's kind of this. I mean, for all we know, that could be what this is. I don't know 100%. It could be something new. It might not be, but it doesn't make it less dangerous. And that's the fact. And take the precautions you can, because if it hits you and you have, and not, it doesn't necessarily always the autoimmune thing. That does help the factor. But I've noticed it's more like, it seems like some people, and it seems like certain families of people kind of sort of don't deal with it, and it's like, no big deal, it's just a little cold. And then there's other families that get hit and it goes through the whole family. So you just have to be aware of that it might be like a recessive gene thing that maybe, or something you've dealt with or came across in the past that makes you more resistant or less.
yeah. Well, yeah. And what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. That's kind of definitely a good saying for right now. Because
But remember this: if you can keep yourself safe and not have to deal with taking that chance, do it.
that's
I
true.
mean,
But
wear your mask,
I have
social
my
distance.
theories on different viruses and diseases, whether they're man-made or not, whether it's some form of population control. And I never used to be a conspiracy theorist till this stuff with vaping happened with all the politicians, and
That opened up so many eyes, including my own.
man,
I started watching some of the conspiracy theory videos, and then I started looking at the real footage to make sure it actually lined up. And it's like, okay, that doesn't make sense.
but
We're
I
going
have
back all the way to like the late 80s, early 90s, like stuff like from then, from video footage about things that didn't make sense. And it's like, back at the time, I remember it happening. It's like, it didn't bother me at the time, didn't care. But once your eyes are open, you're like, hey,
here.
it makes more sense that the conspiracy theory makes sense. The reality of what they told us doesn't. So,
I mean, I have my thoughts on AIDS, even cancer. If it's not man-made, it's something they're putting in our food. And
I've
this
been
is
wondering
just
that
thoughts.
myself.
You got a lot of processed foods that but people years ago did not have. They grew their own foods, slaughtered their own meat, etc. And now everything's you go to the store, pick it up, and walk out in 10 minutes. These people spend their whole lives just trying to provide for their families back, 100 years ago, growing and caring for animals and whatnot. And now you've got, everything's processed just about.
Processed or growth hormones in it. There's all kinds of things that happen to foods now that didn't. Like some foods, did you know that even if you buy seeds for your own garden, the
Yeah,
seeds are not the same as they were. They're not heirloom seeds. Even getting heirloom seeds is not really 100% true. A lot of times those are tainted as well with
exactly.
some of the new. That's just, it's, there's all kinds of theories running down this rabbit hole. We don't
Oh,
want to
yeah,
get too deep into it, but it is a fact that it makes you think the more things happen and the more you see things happen. Um,
exactly.
and yeah, the cancer thing's always made me wonder too, because you ever notice, even when the smoker, non-smoker type situation doesn't matter as much, sometimes certain areas, and I almost wonder if this has to do with the water, certain areas, like where I grew up in upstate New York, there's a lot of pockets in there that people come down with cancer that have never smoked a day in their life. They come down with lung cancer, or they come down with some kind of cancer is really kind of rampant and higher than the national average. It's like that kind of makes me wonder. It could be a mineral in the water, in the soil water.
Could be,
It's
but it could
possible.
be could be something coming from upstream too.
Yep, exactly. There's so many possibilities, but cancer is usually caused by a source. It's an irritation to the cells that causes it, and
Boy,
it's just a question of what the irritation is. It could just be your body could be sensitive to oxygen. That can happen.
that's true.
Oh, so who's this?
That's Cass. I'm not gonna tell you what I call him. He's a good dog. He'll be a year old next month, but he's wide open. He's border collie.
Beautiful
Now he's
puppy.
bringing me a toy. I don't want to play right now. I'm sorry.
Uh, and it's just interesting to watch. Like that march. Remember the march with the ones through like Central America where they marched all the way up to Mexico?
Yes.
Back is quite a long time ago. I think it was back when Bush was in office, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
did that march up. Well, they started. I watched one of the conspiracy theory videos, and they showed the pictures of them and the video of them, right, walking. These people are supposed to be walk hundreds and hundreds of miles with no facilities or anything, and even the kids are walking bare feet, and their feet are clean
Yeah.
on a dirt road. It's like that doesn't make sense. How do you walk hundreds of miles, little kids, and not be dirty?
Yeah. Clean. Their feet are cleaner than
I
mine
don't
are.
know. I don't know if the conspiracy theory they had was correct, but it does make you wonder whether or not there's something to that. At least the picture itself they took or video they took was staged. It just
I
doesn't
believe a
feel
lot of
right.
things are staged. I don't look much into it, but
Then you have to wonder why.
that's
Why would you
exactly.
stage it?
Yeah. What is your agenda here?
Yeah, exactly.
But I could dive into a lot of stuff, and I try not to. But there's some things that just you cannot help wondering. Is this man-made? Is it? Are they trying to take us out, control the population, or what?
I'm kind of wondering. I mean, I know this.
And I know I'm not the only one. If I think it, I know somebody else does.
Well, like the Avali thing. Was that similar to the whole like Paraquat system, Paraquat scandal they had with Mexico, spraying crops down there, knowing it was going to get back and make people sick in the U.S.? Is it one of those situations? Did they know about it? It makes you wonder. It's a small pocket, and they happen to know exactly where it happened, but yet spread it out everywhere. I don't know.
Yeah, we could talk all night on this probably.
Yeah, we could. I mean, we don't want to believe that, and I don't think that. Don't get me wrong. I do think a lot of politicians. I've noticed this because I'm dealing with more of them. They're influenced by what's going on around them and their colleagues, and sometimes it's just a lack of having the time or the willingness to learn as much as they need to, like about vape products or other situations. Sometimes it just comes down to the fact that it's easier to ban it than it is to go deep dive into it. And I
That's
think that's
true.
where we fall into with a lot of these politicians. Plus, they, the potential danger of it in their case, because they're probably not smokers themselves, so they look at it as, well, people should just quit. That they don't they're not in that mindset of thinking like someone who is actually using cigarettes and addicted to them and they need an alternative. They're not in that mindset. So I don't think it's always vindictive, and it's not always about the blood money or anything, but there is some seed there that their colleagues, some of them, are in that, and they're talking in their ear. So
well, that's just a lot of the bigger politicians. They're only spouting or believing or blocking what they're being fed.
Yep.
By whoever's under them or whoever's
Beside
in their
them.
circle or whatever.
Yep.
Try to keep them happy.
This is why if you talk to them nicely, politely, and try to explain to them, tell your story, it's actually has a beneficial effect over if it's not someone who is dead set against it for some reason or another, whether they're bought off or they just hate the concept or they just had enough. And that a lot of times that's just vindictiveness of the fact that they've been pushed so hard by people in a negative way that they just don't care anymore. They just want to attack it. And that happens as well. Or the Karens influenced them. Sorry, there are a lot of those.
Yeah.
But they still circle around the same 4 or 5 arguments over and over. All have been disproven. It's just this little circle. And they just keep refreshing. Oh, that one's out. We can't use that anymore. Let's throw one of these other in. And they just keep on doing the 4 or 5 arguments.
Yeah.
And finding out as this happened with dealing with all this, it's not just this liberty, not just this right. It's continuously, they've been doing this forever. It's always been the same thing. And we just never knew it because our eyes are closed to it. I wanted to believe, who was out to help us. I wanted to believe that the CDC and the FDA were there to help us. And they are in some regards on some things, but then there's other things that it's more than a little questionable if they really are.
It's more like they're doing everything they can to just get it pushed to the side and get it killed and out of their hair.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, I'm not one to let things go. Not like that. Not something I firmly believe in.
Lando, exactly. He sent middle finger emoji. Middle finger emoji. Yeah.
I agree.
For the politicians.
Agree 100%.
Yeah, but believe it or not, it's not all of them. I have gotten through to a few. There are some that understand. If you talk to them the right way, explain the right way. A lot of politicians did quit to be in politics. They quit as part of their career path if they smoked cigarettes before. Those politicians, if you talk to them the right way, will understand. That's one of the things that happened at the New Hampshire hearing. I talked to them and I said, do you know anyone who started smoking cigarettes as a kid because they liked the taste of ash in their mouth? The second I said that, 2 or 3 the senators laughing, and I knew I had them. Because they're like, no. Then why does this flavor ban have anything to do with nicotine? It's not the same thing.
Well, nobody... Tobacco flavored e-liquid does not taste like any kind of tobacco I've ever tasted, burning or not.
No.
And I quit smoking because one of the reasons I didn't like the taste of it, or that I smelled like an ashtray, or that I was hurting everybody around me. I don't want to taste that again. I don't want to keep tasting it. And I sure don't like menthol. That was I couldn't, even as a smoker, I couldn't stand to be around anybody smoking menthol tobacco products.
And that's one of the tricks too that they don't understand is the flavors entice you for one. Secondly, so you stay away from the cigarettes. Also, it takes you away from the reminder to go back to them. Eventually, you get to the point where that smell just turns your stomach.
Oh, it does.
Most ex-smokers, once you get to a certain point, the smell of cigarette smoke, it turns your stomach more than it did even before you ever started smoking.
That's another thing you just said. I always consider myself an ex-smoker, not a non-smoker.
Yep.
Just like a recovering addict from anything else. They're a recovering addict forever, because I believe there's always that urge to go back somewhere, no matter how little or how big. I'll always, consider myself an ex-smoker, not a non-smoker, because I'm recovering just like someone else with another addiction would be.
And
And that's
most people are addicted to something. These politicians, one of the other things I commonly talk to them about, it's no different than you have in your cup of coffee every day or energy drinks throughout the day.
Yep.
It's the same level of addiction in nicotine as it is in caffeine. If you can't do without your morning coffee every day, try it for a few weeks. See how well that works for you without any caffeine in your diet. If you're used to drinking a lot of caffeine, it's just as difficult. So to have a delivery system that's safer by a large margin, I don't even really push off the 95%. Yes, that's a great to have the number, but that's from the study. The fact that it's safer at all and on a drastic level compared to the other is important. And and we're talking physical health, but also mental health. Right now, if you try to quit smoking, look at Chantix. It created a lot of suicides. It created a lot of suicides, and not to mention the fact that people quitting cold turkey or trying to stay away, or maybe not giving into that right now, extra anxiety and stress leads down that road too. And as you and I know, that road is ultimately the goal we try to stop people from getting to. So, it's important.
You're right. Yeah, Chantix, that stuff's evil. I don't like. I took it, and I don't like it. We'll just leave it at that. It made me, I can't think of a better choice of word, crazy, because it drove me crazy.
And we've been talking a lot of, Chantix is just, that's a rabbit hole we don't want to get down too deep. It's just, it does. It really affects the brains of people that are on it. And some people never fully recover from it. There are some people that it bothers them the rest of their life, even if it's been like 5-10 years since they've used it. It's still with them. It still messes them up.
And it didn't even help me to quit it. I did cut down some when I was on it. It did do that. But as far as helping me quit, no. It caused me more problems than it was trying to help. And I'd never recommend that to anybody.
Nope. And if you're working to make yourself healthier in any way, shape, or form, like we recently had Matt Sinister on with his journey through starting to try and, recover his body, so to speak. He's been in a lot of pain. He's trying to work out again. He's got a personal trainer. He's trying to do fitness all around and better diet. This kind of thing drives you. Ozzer was on tonight. He's actually really kind of one of those. He goes to the gym. That's one of the things he's got to do in the morning. He's got to get up early to go to the gym. That's why I had to leave early. But it's really good to see people doing that kind of thing. Unfortunately, like in his situation, he goes out to a gym, which does give him that risk factor too. They're pretty careful there, but just be safe whenever you do this. Do the best you can. If you're jogging on the street or walking, whatever, give your people distance when you go by them. And if you're driving by, give them a good girth of space when they're walking. That's something, even though you might not like the fact they're walking, and maybe they might not have a mask on while they're walking, like on a rural road or something like that, because one thing, it's kind of hard to breathe, especially in the cold with the mask on. They're trying to make themselves healthier. Even if you're in a hurry or you're annoyed with them being on the side of the road, be respectful of the fact that they're just trying to live a healthier life. So
I'm guilty of doing those things in the past years ago.
Me too.
I'm going to be quite honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was an asshole. That's the only way to put it. I've tried to do better. Tried to be better. And be more respectful of others. And bicyclists, that's the ones that always got me.
Yes.
And I'm like, these people are doing something that I can't do. Being an amputee, I can't do that. I would if I could. I'd do a lot of things now that I took for granted, if I could. So more power to them. I'm glad they're out there doing it. Because if I could be in the shape that those people are in, I would gladly go back and do it. Because I've got a shape, but It's mostly, round. It's a shape, but it's round.
But bicyclists and stuff like that, they are the ones that annoy you the most. And there are, I'm not going to say that I can't even 100% like vouch for them. Most of them are on the road for the purpose of getting in better shape, staying healthy. There are some that are assholes. They do it on purpose. They'll purposely cut you off or take a chance, and then you feel like the asshole for almost hitting them when it's clearly their fault. And just like I ride motorcycles, so I understand there are people that give motorcycle riding a bad name as well.
Been there too. I miss being able to ride. What kind of bike you got? Just out of the blue.
Kawasaki ZZR.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the one I have now. I've had a lot of Suzuki's and Kawasaki's mostly, and a Honda.
The first bike I had was a little Ninja 500 back many years ago. I think I was 16. Then I thought, I got this, so I bought a GSXR 1100. Way too much bike for my little self at the time, and that thing scared me to death. And
my 1100, I put a Stage Street jet kit in.
Yeah.
It would pull wheelie. It was the Katana, which was the race motor they used to use for the drag racing.
Yeah.
Even though it's a Katana, it had the raisable windscreen and everything. But with the Stage 3 jet kit in it, I could wheelie it at 100 miles an hour from a roll-on.
Yeah.
My buddy was going to buy my bike so I could upgrade to the. I was going to get a Hayabusa. And he was behind me.
One of those too.
He was behind me, and he's on his Ninja 1100. And he's on that, and we get to the next. This is on the highway, 100 miles an hour. Oh, 65, 70. That's what it was. Yeah, that's what. Pulled the wheelie. We got to the next exit, and we pulled over and ate lunch. And we pull in the parking lot, and he looks at me and goes, "No, I'm not buying that." I go, "Why?" He says, "Your rear tire was spinning the whole time. You were technically riding in a wheelie on vapor."
Yeah, I worked with a guy. He, I forget what it was, a Suzuki something. It wasn't a GSXR. But anyway, we'd be leaving work and he'd just 80 miles an hour on the back wheel. Night, day, it didn't matter. I'm like, you're going to get killed. You come over a hill on the back tire with your headlights shining up in the air. Nobody's going to see you. Man, it didn't matter.
I won't deny I still do that, but I make sure it's a straightaway nowadays. I've gotten a lot more careful. I lived through a lot of really dumb moments. One time running over my own foot around a corner, I was headed toward a bunch of rocks because the S-curve sign came down in the spring and I didn't know it. They must have hit it with a plow or something. So I was looking for the S-curve sign, didn't see it, and it's a flat area, and I realized I was coming up on that S-curve, and I thought I was going down, and my foot came off. My side of my shoe caught my foot, pulled it under the back tire, and somehow popped me up around that corner, and I made it. Don't know how. It's one of the many times I should not be here still.
Yeah.
And I know it. That was back when I was like 18, 19 years old, though.
But I ended up, I traded the guy for a GSXR 750. That was a little more manageable. I think the last bike I had was a Sportster. Might have been a 1000. I think it was. It wasn't 1100.
74
but anyway,
Sportster.
Harley Sportster. It looked like a miniature Fat Boy. It had fat tanks, Corbin seat, fat boy front end, fat boy rear.
Father Rucker put in. He has a 74 Sportster. His dad, rest in peace, chopped. Yeah, my dad. My uncle still has my dad's frame for his Harley. It was chopped as well. I'm looking into possibly switching over, at least not 100%. I'm not 100% there. I'd still keep my sport bike, but I am considering getting a more comfortable bike for long trips, like to visit my family. Because
cruiser,
all these sports injuries are starting to catch up with me and making me very sore for long trips. So
need you a trike. Get your gold wing. You'll be.
I can't go that far. Not yet.
That's
10 years from now. I'll change my mind.
I've got a friend that he's my age. I went to school with him, and he rode Harleys for years, and he just test drove a Goldwing and immediately sold his Harley and bought it. He said, if I'd known these things were this comfortable, I'd have traded it years ago.
Oh, I've ridden a couple Goldwings. They are extreme, and even older ones are extremely comfortable. Did not expect it to be. They really are. As far as a trike goes, if I get a trike, that's going to have a 454 big block in the back and be able to pull wheelies with no ease.
You remember those, the ball saws?
Yep.
They were putting the 350s in them, and then they had the one with the 427.
Yep.
There was a guy, my wife read his meter when she worked for the co-op here, and he actually built those bikes. I guess it was I don't know if it was a franchise or what, but those things were scary. They were scary fast. I rode it up the road and back maybe a half a mile in total, and it scared me. I mean, this was just a 350. But you basically sitting on them. I mean, that's what you're riding.
Lady Liberty, I said I wasn't doing wheelies around corners. I didn't say I didn't drive fast around them.
Made to drive fast around corners.
No, she's on the phone with me, and I said I'd meet her at work. I said I'd be there in a minute. She thought I meant 5 minutes because they were about 4 miles down the road. No, I meant a minute.
Yeah, you straighten those curves out real quick.
Those curves go real nice if you got good tires.
I love where I live is right in the mountains, man. That's just perfect for riding. And I feel bad for slowing up the motorcyclist when I'm driving through there in the car, but my car doesn't handle like a motorcycle. Sorry.
No, it doesn't. Probably I'm gonna call it. I mean, Lando said he's going to bed, but yeah, actually. It is getting a little later here. I don't want to keep the stream going on too long, but it's great to have you on. And you can come on again sometime soon. And we'll do a show just for you, not just talking about random stuff, but we'll actually kind of go through your vaping journey and stuff at some point. Because actually it's a big, it does matter. And it sounds like it meant a big deal to you.
It did. It does. Look, I mean, I'm right here talking to you guys.
Do you think you'd still, one quick question about it, do you think you'd still be here if you're still smoking?
Possibly. I don't know.
Don't know, but
I mean, as far as my breathing, it hindered me a little bit, but I really mainly did it for everybody else.
So they wouldn't have to smell you?
In the beginning, I mean, my wife and daughter had breathing problems. That, my little girl had pneumonia twice. I quit smoking, and she hasn't had any kind of respiratory issues at all. I mean, she even had to use a nebulizer for a while, several off and on. So I think me quitting benefited them more than it has me, but I know it helped me. I'm not saying that,
Oh, I know. It's just some people know that their life is significantly. They don't think they would have made it, and there's some people like that, and there's other people that think they would have plugged along and forced their way through, and that sounds more like you would have done your best to try and plug through, but you did it because of you cared about your family and what was affecting them.
And I have to thank my wife for it mainly. I mean, like I said, I was a dual user, and I had several different odds and ends to do with vaping, tanks and mods or whatever. And me being an amputee, I can't just jump out and run the store and buy cigarettes. She finally put her foot down and said, I'm not buying any more cigarettes. She said, if you can get your wheelchair out of the truck, get in the store, get it back in the truck and back in the truck and home, you can keep smoking. And I can't do that. So she said, you got all that vaping equipment, use it. And that's what I did. So that's the start of my
vaping journey. That's your vaping journey to the end of the beginning of your true vaping journey.
Yeah, yeah. And I tried to smoke again just to see if I liked it, and I got about 2 drags off of it. And I'm like, nope, this tastes horrible.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's why even if they had spot on tobacco flavor, I think it's a very terrible idea.
Yeah.
unless it works for some people, but in general, it works better if you can just separate yourself from that. As far as you can separate yourself from the original, but yet still get the same feeling, the better you are.
I mean, yeah, most definitely.
But yeah, good night, everybody, and thank you very much for being on tonight, Jingles.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. It means a lot. Made me feel better anyway.
Addie, thank you for the putting the doldrums in the chat. Make sure you sign up if you can. Even if you can't make it to the concert, it's not your thing. $5, $10 or whatever you can donate to a good cause for suicide prevention. I mean, you got two people right here, and John would be included as well as a third, easily be included to explain. We could get into deep on what it's like to deal with the aftermath of suicide and how it affects you. And don't wish that on anyone. So it's a really good cause.
And it's only like, what, $5?
$5, and plus you get a bunch of music, a ton of music for the day, and you get it for like a week or two. You can listen to it afterwards for $5. And you can imagine going to, and your whole family could even listen to it because you're in the same house or whatever. You think about that, for $5, you couldn't go to a concert for that. So
you couldn't park for that.
You can't even buy a pay-per-view concert for that.
No.
So
most of those are around $30, I think. The ones I've seen.
Yeah, easily. And that's probably going to go up instead down here in the future for virtual.
We'll get into that another time, but I'm scared they'll go in that direction in the future, even when it's safe to go to live shows. I don't think so, but it scares me nonetheless.
I think that the musicians themselves prefer to actually do a live show. There's something about it. Like Michelle was saying, when she plays, she'd rather play in front of a live crowd. This other thing is a substitute, but it's not the same. So that's the one thing. The drive comes from people, that feeling. You don't get it quite the same virtually. So I think that
with an older artist, I could understand it. That it's hard for them to travel and go to different cities, and you can bring the CDs to you. You be in one place, you bring them all to you. I understand that. But these young bucks out there, they need to stay on it and keep touring and keep playing in front of live audiences.
All right. Bye, guys.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.